Boston is where a capacity crowd sees the NBA championship struggle between the Minneapolis Lakers and the Boston Celtics.
The NBA's most fabled rivalry was born in 1959 when the Celtics beat the Lakers in the finals.
The great Boston team goes on to win the National Basketball Association championship.
Throughout the 1960s, it seemed as if the teams were meeting every year in the finals.
The Boston Celtics are world champions.
And each time, Boston was the team celebrating in the end.
I hated green for a long time. I wouldn't wear anything green. You just got to the point where it was so frustrating to hear the noise and shouting after games that we had lost.
In 1969, LA traded for Wilt Chamberlain, the game's most dominant force, and they were sure that this would finally be the year they'd beat Boston.
The owner of the Lakers put out a sheet in all the seats. When the Lakers win the championship, the USC band would play Happy Days Are Here Again. The balloons in the rafters would fall down, and Chick Hearns would interview Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, and Wilt Chamberlain in that particular order.
When the players came in, I read it to all of them. I says, one thing that cannot go on, the Lakers cannot beat us. They can't beat us. But it's going to be fun to watch them get those balloons out one at a time.
Helped by Don Nelson's miracle shot, the balloons stayed in the rafters as Boston won again.
All over. And there they go. They won it again. Bill, this must have been a great win for you. One more time. One more time.
15 years later, Bird and Magic would revive this intense rivalry.
I hated Larry. No other word to really use. And I disliked the Celtics.
As the 1984 finals began, Magic looked to end the Boston jinx.
This has to be one of the most decisive rounds in championship game history.
Today, when we see Magic slapping high fives and guys going behind their back and shooting layups on us all day long, it seems that somebody would try to put a stop to it. But until we get our hearts where they belong, we're in trouble.
Here's Magic off the mark. And here's Larry Bird chugging down the court.
It will be up to Bird to sound the Celtic rallying cry.
The Boston Celtics are the NBA World Champions.
1 year later, the Lakers would find themselves back in Boston.
Magic! Larry's gonna kill you! There's no magic in here!
But this time, LA would make history by becoming the first Laker team to beat Boston.
The Lakers answered the Celtics' true grit with a fierce, determined performance.
That whole mental and historical thing, the jinx, whatever have you, it all died at that point.
Does America believe in magic? You bet we do.
And when LA beat Boston again in 1987, Magic even made a believer out of Bird.
Magic's just a great basketball player. He's the best I've ever seen, you know. Unbelievable. I don't know what to say.
It took 21 years for the teams to meet again in the finals, and in 2008, the Celtics beat the Lakers for their 17th NBA title. Last year, the Lakers added a 15th title to their collection. Now, 21 years later, the teams meet again.
Lakers versus Celtics always been very intense rivals, and it's because of the people and the players that have come before all of us. If there's one history you know about, it's definitely the Celtics and the Lakers.
It looks like we have an opportunity to get back to the top of that mountain.
Sometimes it's not the destination, it's the journey. This guy right here has been spectacular. That is 40 for Kobe Bryant.
Sometimes does it help to make it personal?
Oh, it's never personal with me.
He breaks towards him, trying to find some space, catches in the corner, turns, shoots a three, no good. Artest, the rebound, puts it back in, and the Lakers have pulled a miracle.
The challenge is to win a championship. The Celtics are in the way. You know, they feel the same way about us.
Everything the Lakers had worked for was now in jeopardy. But once again, they responded, furiously fighting back in the third quarter.
Gasol, Spindle using the left hand.
A 4-point lead for Boston. Are we looking at the final 12 minutes of the NBA season?
Imagine you're on your home floor, Game 7, and it all is coming down to the last 12 minutes. You know, what are you going to do?
The Lakers had acquired Ron Artest to help them defend the crown. Now was his time to deliver.
Everyone standing here at Staples.
I wanted to get really emotional and get caught up in the game and maybe get outside my character a little bit, but what I had to do was step back in to the game and just play the game the right way.
Shuffle pass into Artest, up with a leaner, banks it in, and is fouled. Ron Artest, the unlikeliest of heroes in a Game 7, almost single-handedly keeping the Lakers afloat.
And LA's veteran backcourt duo would take over from there.
Fisher for three. Bang! Tie game. Derek Fisher does it again in the postseason in a big moment. Bryant on the pull-up. Puts it in. 4-point Laker lead. And you can tell Bryant is sensing the finish line.
The Lakers had the championship within their grasp if they could just hold on.
Get everything we got. Let's go. Every loose ball, every rebound. Box out. Tom, let's go, man.
Wallace on Gasol. Shot. It's good. Gasol got it to go. Timeout Celtics. Lakers by 6 with a minute and a half to play.
And in the end, it was only fitting that the Lakers looked to Artest for the finishing touch.
Jump pass to Artest. Fires a three. He got it!
Now you talk about a dagger. That's a dagger in the heart.
People really paying attention during the season. He's had games like that. His emotion and his energy turns the tide for us. It's not something that comes out of nowhere. It's been there. And it showed up just at the most right, perfect, biggest game of the year.
And with that, the Lakers' quest was complete.
In an eternal moment in their storied history, the Los Angeles Lakers have captured their second straight world championship, their 16th all-time, and they have done it at the expense of their arch rival from Boston. Back-to-back titles, and they get to do it on their home floor in front of an adoring crowd.
Beautiful, baby. Beautiful. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about.
With over 28 points a game average, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists, the 2010 Bill Russell NBA Finals MVP is none other than Kobe Bryant.
The Los Angeles Lakers have written a new chapter to this epic rivalry and have etched their names into Lakers lore.
This is the 2010 Lakers victory parade for the NBA championship over the Boston Celtics.